When does calculated risk become reckless desperation? And are the Warriors about to cross that line in their frantic chase to save Stephen Curry's twilight years? There's a palpable sense of urgency radiating from the Bay Area these days, the kind that makes front offices do things they swore they'd never do. The Golden State Warriors, once the model of patient team building and developmental excellence, are reportedly ready to abandon their long-held convictions and swing for the fences in a trade that screams equal parts genius and catastrophic miscalculation. According to ClutchPoint's Rowan Bramett, the Warriors are seriously exploring a blockbuster deal that would ship Jonathan Kuminga to the Sacramento Kings in exchange for two-time All-Star guard Zach LaVine, a $215 million investment that could either resurrect their championship dreams or become the financial albatross that drowns them. This isn't just another trade rumor. This is a franchise at a crossroads, staring down the barrel of irrelevance while their greatest player ages before our eyes. And the decision they make in the coming weeks will define the final chapter of one of basketball's most remarkable dynasties. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that Warriors fans have been dancing around for 3 seasons. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't become what they needed him to be, not even remotely close. When Golden State selected the explosive forward with the 7th overall pick in 2021, the blueprint seemed obvious. Here was a raw, athletic specimen with defensive versatility and offensive upside, who could develop into the kind of two-way force that would seamlessly integrate alongside Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. The vision was a new iteration of Warriors' dominance for the 2020s, with Kaminga eventually shouldering the load as the core aged. For seasons later, that vision remains frustratingly out of focus, like a photograph that never quite develops properly. Kaminga possesses all the physical tools you could want, the length, the explosiveness, the defensive potential that makes scouts salivate. But basketball at the championship level demands infinitely more than measurables and highlight reel dunks. It requires basketball IQ that can't be taught in film sessions. It demands consistency that transcends hot and cold streaks. It necessitates the ability to impact winning when the stakes are highest and the margin for error disappears completely. These are precisely the areas where Kaminga has struggled to make meaningful strides, and time is running out for both player and franchise. The Warriors' championship DNA has always been built on having multiple offensive creators who can operate independently when the beautiful system breaks down. During their late 2010s dominance, they had Curry, Thompson, and Kevin Durant, 3 players who could single-handedly carry an offense for extended stretches. In their 2022 championship run, Curry, Thompson, and the Andrew Wiggins/Jordan Poole tandem provided that multi-pronged attack that kept defenses guessing. Today, Curry stands virtually alone as a consistent offensive engine, and at 36 years old, that burden grows exponentially heavier with each passing game. The front office gambled that Kaminga would evolve into that second or third option, the player who could take pressure off Curry and create his own offense when the motion stagnates. The returns on that investment have been disappointing at best, devastating at worst. And in the ruthless calculus of championship contention, disappointing equals expendable. Potential becomes a liability. Patience transforms into a luxury you can no longer afford. Zach LaVine represents everything the Warriors currently lack and everything they desperately need. But he also embodies every risk that keeps general managers awake at night. His athleticism, 3-level scoring, and ability to generate late-clock offense would ease the enormous offensive burden Curry carries nightly, Bramett wrote, articulating the core appeal of this potential blockbuster. The numbers tell a genuinely compelling story. LaVine is averaging 20.7 points per game this season on blistering efficiency, 49.1% from the field and 37.8% from three-point range. More importantly, he's producing these numbers on a dreadful 15-26 Sacramento Kings squad that provides virtually no offensive infrastructure around him. He's creating in isolation, manufacturing points in a vacuum, carrying an offensive load that would crush lesser players. Now imagine what those numbers could look like within Steve Kerr's system, playing alongside Curry's gravitational pull and Jimmy Butler's two-way excellence. The possibilities are tantalizing. LaVine's career three-point percentage sits at an impressive 39.0%. Exactly the kind of perimeter marksmanship that thrives in Golden State's motion offense. While his rookie season saw him struggle from deep at 34.1%, the UCLA product has refined his stroke into a legitimate weapon, transforming himself into the prototypical modern wing scorer that every contender craves. But here's where it gets really interesting, where the analytical meets the practical. LaVine can create his own shot when the offense stagnates. The Warriors have built their identity on beautiful ball movement and systematic excellence, but playoff basketball often devolves into isolation scenarios and late clock situations where structure breaks down and talent takes over. Having a player who can manufacture offense in those moments, someone who can take pressure off Curry when defenses load up with box-and-one schemes and aggressive traps, is invaluable. On paper, the idea is attractive, Bramett continued. A core of Curry, LaVine, Butler, Green, and supporting depth would make for a dangerous postseason unit capable of surviving defensive storms and enduring scoring droughts. That lineup would give the Warriors three legitimate offensive creators, multiple ball handlers, and enough shooting to keep defenses honest. It's the kind of star power that wins playoff series, the kind of firepower that can go toe-to-toe with the Boston Celtics, Oklahoma City Thunder, or Denver Nuggets in a 7-game war of attrition. According to Bramett's analysis, the Warriors would construct a package centered around Kaminga's contract, supplemented with salary filler and young assets like Moses Moody. From a pure salary matching perspective, this deal makes sense. Kaminga is on a manageable contract, and LaVine's massive $215 million deal, while substantial, isn't completely unmovable for a franchise with Golden State's financial resources and championship aspirations. The Kings, meanwhile, would receive exactly what they need: young talent with upside. Sacramento has been spinning its wheels in mediocrity, and Kaminga represents the kind of high-ceiling prospect that could develop into a cornerstone alongside Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, assuming they can unlock what Golden State couldn't. Moses Moody adds another intriguing young piece with three and deep potential, giving Sacramento additional flexibility and depth. For a franchise desperately searching for an identity and a path forward, acquiring two promising young players for an expensive veteran on the wrong side of his prime makes strategic sense. But here's the critical question that Bramett poses, the one that should haunt every Warriors executive. Does the front office want to mortgage its future for a player that does not meaningfully guarantee contention? That's the $215 million question, isn't it? The case for pulling the trigger, let's be brutally, painfully honest. The Warriors' championship window is closing faster than anyone in the Bay Area wants to admit. Stephen Curry is 36 years old. While he remains one of the league's most dynamic offensive forces, Father Time is undefeated, and every season that passes without another championship represents a missed opportunity that can never be recovered. Curry's prime won't last forever, and the franchise owes it to him and to their legacy to maximize these remaining years. This isn't about building for 2027 or 2028. This is about winning now, while their greatest player can still perform at an elite level. Jimmy Butler, acquired in a previous move, is 35. Draymond Green is 34. This isn't a roster built for patient development. It's a roster built for immediate contention, for one more championship run before the curtain falls on this remarkable era. LaVine provides instant offense, proven playoff experience, limited though it may be, and the kind of athletic scoring punch that could transform Golden State from a fringe playoff team into a legitimate Western Conference threat. His ability to attack closeouts, create off the dribble, and punish defenses in transition would open up the floor for Curry in ways Kaminga simply hasn't. Moreover, LaVine's track record suggests he thrives when surrounded by talent. His best seasons came when he had competent teammates in Chicago, and his efficiency numbers have remained solid despite playing on a dysfunctional Kings team this year. Put him in Golden State's system with Curry's spacing and Butler's defensive presence, and you might unlock the best version of Zach LaVine we've ever seen. The Warriors have historically succeeded when they've been bold, drafting Curry when conventional wisdom suggested otherwise, trading for Andre Iguodala, signing Kevin Durant. These weren't safe moves. They were calculated gambles that paid championship dividends. Perhaps it's time to gamble again. But let's pump the brakes and examine the very real concerns that should give Golden State's front office serious pause before they pull this trigger. First, there's the contract. LaVine is owed massive money through the 2026-27 season, and while he's productive now, that deal could age catastrophically. The Warriors would be committing significant financial resources to a player with a documented injury history and persistent questions about his defensive consistency and engagement. LaVine has never been known as a lockdown defender. In fact, he's been a defensive liability for much of his career, and Golden State's system demands defensive versatility and effort. Can he suddenly become a plus defender at age 29? History suggests skepticism is warranted. Second, there's the opportunity cost. Trading Kaminga and Moody means surrendering two young players with genuine upside for a veteran who, while talented, hasn't proven he can be the second-best player on a championship team. Kaminga may not have developed as quickly as hoped, but he's still only 22 years old. His physical tools remain elite, and some franchises might believe they can unlock his potential in ways Golden State couldn't. What if the Warriors trade him and he blossoms into an all-star in Sacramento? What if Moody develops into a consistent three and D-Wing elsewhere? The regret would be unbearable. Third, there's the fit question. LaVine has spent his entire career as a primary or secondary option, dominating the ball and creating his own offense. Can he adjust to being the third option behind Curry and Butler? Can he thrive in a system that demands constant movement, quick decisions, and selfless play? His track record suggests he's more comfortable with the ball in his hands than cutting and spotting up. Finally, there's the championship probability calculation. Does adding LaVine genuinely make the Warriors a title favorite? Or does it simply make them marginally better while mortgaging their future flexibility? The Western Conference is stacked with the Thunder, Nuggets, and a resurgent Memphis Grizzlies, all possessing younger, more sustainable cores. Everything comes back to Curry. This entire discussion exists because of him, because of what he's meant to this franchise, because of the championships he's delivered, because of the loyalty he's shown. Curry has never demanded a trade. He's never publicly complained about the roster construction. He's never thrown teammates under the bus. He's been the model superstar, the kind of franchise cornerstone that organizations dream about. But watch him closely during games, and you can see the burden. You can see him fighting through screens, getting grabbed and held on every possession, carrying an offensive load that would break most players half his age. And you can see the clock ticking, the window narrowing, the opportunities diminishing. The Warriors owe Curry one more legitimate shot. They owe him a roster that can genuinely compete for a championship, not just make the playoffs and hope for miracles. If LaVine represents that shot, if he's the piece that could give Curry one more ring, then the risk might be worth taking. But if he's not, if this trade results in an expensive, aging roster that falls short anyway, then the Warriors will have squandered their future for a gamble that never paid off. So, where does this leave us? Should the Warriors pull the trigger on this blockbuster trade? The honest answer is maddeningly complex. It depends on what you value more, the potential of youth or the urgency of now. If you believe Curry has 2 or 3 more years of elite play, if you believe LaVine can elevate his game in a better system, if you believe this core can genuinely compete for a championship, then yes, make the trade. Go all in. Mortgage the future for one more shot at glory. But if you have doubts about LaVine's defensive commitment, if you worry about his injury history, if you think Kaminga might still develop into something special, then pump the brakes. Don't make a desperate move just because the window is closing. Sometimes the best trades are the ones you don't make. The Warriors built a dynasty by being smarter than everyone else, by zigging when others zagged, by trusting their process and their evaluations. The question now is whether that process tells them to take this risk or walk away. One thing is certain, Whatever decision they make will define the final chapter of the Stephen Curry era. And that's a responsibility that should weigh heavily on every executive in that front office. Should the Warriors trade Kaminga for LaVine? Is this the bold move that saves their championship window, or the desperate gamble that destroys it? Drop your analysis in the comments and smash that like button. This decision could reshape the entire Western Conference, and you'll want to be part of the conversation when it goes down.